Step out of the vehicle now! Tremaine's fingers tightened around the strap of his backpack as the police cruiser's lights flashed red and blue through the windshield. He hadn't even said a word yet. The officer, tall, white, crew-cut, rested his hand on the holster. His voice was calm, but it carried a threat like a loaded gun. "I didn't do anything," Tremaine said, voice cracking as he opened the door of the beat-up Toyota. His foster mom's car. He wasn't even supposed to be driving it, but she was working the night shift, and he had to get to that studio. "I said out." The cop grabbed Tremaine's elbow before his foot hit the pavement. "I got ID, man, I'm not—" he started. "Oh, you got ID," the cop scoffed, pulling him fully out and slamming him against the hood with a practiced motion. "What's your name?" "Tremaine Broadus." The officer paused. He looked at him with a mix of amusement and suspicion. "Broadus? As in Calvin Broadus?" "Yeah, that's my dad." The silence was immediate, and then laughter. The cop laughed so hard he had to step back and hold his stomach. "Oh, come on," he said. "You're telling me you're Snoop Dogg's son?" "Yes," Tremaine said quietly. His face burned. He hated how his voice always sounded small in moments like this. Another officer was stepping out of the cruiser now, a younger guy, Latino, chewing gum. "Yo, what's happening?" he asked. "This kid says he's Snoop Dogg's son." The younger cop raised an eyebrow, then looked Tremaine over, his oversized sweatshirt, busted shoes, and the frayed strap on his backpack. "You don't even look like you got lunch money, man," he muttered. "I don't live with him. I live in foster care. He just found out about me." "Uh-huh. Let me guess, he's picking you up at the studio, right?" Tremaine looked down. "Yes." More laughter. The older cop tapped his fingers against the roof of the car, pacing slowly. "You kids always got a fantasy. I get it. Want to escape reality. But let me tell you something. If you lie to cops, we will find out." "I'm not lying." "Then explain to me how Snoop Dogg's son is riding around in a rust bucket in South Central, dressed like a dropout, with no record, no nothing. Where's your security? Your gold chain?" Tremaine opened his backpack slowly. He left this with me last week." He pulled out a photo, an old printed Polaroid of him as a baby in a hospital crib, and next to it, a man with braids, unmistakably Snoop, holding a peace sign to the camera. It was yellowed and creased, but real. The cop looked at it, then burst out laughing again. "Nice Photoshop. Did you make that at school?" Before Tremaine could answer, a black Escalade rolled up to the curb. It parked silently, engine humming. The cops turned. The rear door opened slowly, and out stepped Snoop Dogg, real, unmistakable 6'4" in a blue tracksuit, sunglasses glinting under the streetlights. He didn't say a word at first, just looked at the officers, then at Tremaine. "Y'all putting hands on my son," he said coolly. The silence was louder than any siren. The laughter, gone. The older cop dropped his hand from his holster. The younger one straightened like a boy caught cheating. Tremaine stared at the ground, blinking fast. He didn't even know Snoop was coming. "Step away from him," Snoop said, voice calm but steel underneath. "Now." And they did. If you're hooked now, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment, because this story is just getting started. Inside the Escalade, Tremaine sat in silence, gripping the edge of his seat. Snoop didn't say much at first. The tinted windows shut out the city like a closing curtain, leaving only the low hum of the engine and the scent of weed mixed with expensive cologne. "You good?" Snoop finally asked, eyes still on the road. Tremaine nodded. "Yeah. Cops always like that out here?" "Yeah," Tremaine said again, then added, "Even worse when you tell the truth." Snoop cracked a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You shouldn't have told him who you are. I thought it might help. That name ain't always protection. Sometimes it's a target." Tremaine turned to him. "So why now? Why'd you come tonight?" Snoop took a slow breath. "Because you needed me to." That was it. No grand speech, no apologies, just that. It hit Tremaine in a weird place, somewhere between anger and gratitude. "You really just found out about me last year?" he asked. Snoop nodded. "Your mom kept it from me. Said I was too deep in the game back then. Said she didn't want you growing up around all that. She was right. Snoop looked over, eyebrow raised. I mean, look at you, Tremaine said. You're a brand, a legend. You're not a dad. The car stopped at a red light. Snoop shifted in his seat. You think I don't know that? You think I ain't had nights wondering if I missed my only shot to raise you, right? Tremaine turned away, lips tight. They rode the next few minutes in silence until the SUV pulled into a gated driveway. The iron gates swung open automatically, revealing a long path lined with palm trees and a low-lit modern house at the end. Tremaine stared. This where you live? Nah, Snoop said. This where you live now, if you want it? Tremaine blinked. What? I got this place set up just for you. Ain't nobody else in there. You get your own space, clean slate. You don't even know me. That's why I'm trying to, Snoop said. You can shut me out if you want, but don't lie to yourself and say I didn't try. Tremaine didn't answer. His head buzzed. A whole house, for him. Snoop reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a small key card. Studio sessions tomorrow. I booked you 2 hours. If music's still what you want. Tremaine took the card slowly. How'd you even hear my stuff? I got ears everywhere. You post something online, it ain't long before it reaches the right folks if it's real. Tremaine looked down. It's all I got. Music's the only thing that makes sense. Then don't let them steal that from you. Not cops, not haters, not even me. Snoop got out and Tremaine followed. As they approached the house, motion sensor lights flickered on, casting long shadows across the driveway. Inside, everything smelled new, floors gleamed, kitchen untouched, a beat machine already set up in the back room. This is mine, Tremaine asked again, not quite believing it. All of it, Snoop said, but not because of me, because you earned it. Tremaine ran his hand along the marble counter, still half expecting it all to vanish. You serious about this? He asked, voice low. Snoop nodded. Dead serious, but the name? That's just noise. You gotta make people respect your voice. Not mine. Tremaine met his father's eyes for the first time and didn't look away. The studio was tucked behind the main living room, soundproofed and wired up with gear Tremaine had only seen in YouTube videos. A Neumann mic, MPC, full keyboard, monitors bigger than his torso. It was overwhelming, but it felt right. He stood in the middle of the room, hands trembling just slightly. No one was watching, but still the pressure crawled under his skin. This was his shot. This was real. He sat down, put his headphones on, and loaded the beat he'd started on his busted laptop a month ago. Kicks too heavy, snares too tight, but the melody was his. Rough but honest. Tremaine hit record. His voice cracked on the first bar. He stopped, cursed under his breath, and hit record again. Still off. Third time he made it through 16 bars, but it sounded hollow, thin. He yanked the headphones off and tossed them to the floor. Damn it! The studio door opened. Snoop leaned against the frame, arms crossed. Want some advice or want me to bounce? Tremaine hesitated. I don't know. Snoop stepped in anyway. I remember my first real studio. Could barely breathe, man. Felt like every knob, every light was watching me, waiting to see if I'd mess up. That's what it feels like. You're not gonna get it right tonight, Snoop said, but you'll get something. Even if it's just pain on the track. That's still real. Tremaine sat down again, staring at the blinking door screen. What if I'm just good for the internet? Like, not really good. Snoop chuckled. I've heard internet good. That ain't you. Silence stretched. You still mad? Snoop asked quietly. Tremaine thought for a second. I don't know what to be. You're here. That should mean something. But I keep thinking, if you'd shown up sooner, maybe I wouldn't have been cuffed tonight or passed around foster homes like a bag of old clothes. Snoop nodded slowly. I ain't here to rewrite the past, Trey. I'm just trying to show up now. Tremaine didn't respond. He looked back at the screen, hit record again, and started rapping, voice lower this time. Not perfect, but it carried weight. By the time he hit the hook, Snoop was nodding his head. When Tremaine finished, he sat back, exhausted. Still rough. But honest, Snoop said. You told the truth. That's what sticks. Later that night, Tremaine sat on the balcony, hoodie pulled up, scrolling through old messages on his phone, text chains from foster brothers he'd lost touch with, a voicemail from his caseworker, never opened, a message from his mom, 3 years old. He tapped play. Her voice, tired but warm, filled his ears. "Baby, I know you're angry. But one day you're going to find your own way, and maybe, just maybe, he'll be ready to meet you when you do." He closed his eyes. The city lights stretched into the distance, a hazy quilt of orange and white. Somewhere out there was the life he had survived, and maybe now something else waiting. Back inside, he found Snoop asleep on the couch, TV still playing a basketball game. Tremaine pulled a throw blanket over him, hesitating only for a second. Then he walked back into the studio. The beat was still there. This time, he didn't think. He just pressed record. A week later, Tremaine was standing in a downtown LA hallway, sweating through his t-shirt. His demo in hand, 3 songs raw but polished, loaded onto a flash drive with his name scribbled in Sharpie. "Just go in," Snoop said, leaning against the wall casually, like they were grabbing coffee and not about to meet a legendary producer. Tremaine looked at him. "What if they laugh? Then you keep walking till someone listens. That's the game." The office door opened, and a man in his 50s with sharp eyes and a tighter haircut stepped out. "Let's make it quick." "I've got 10 minutes. He didn't even say hello. Tremaine swallowed and followed him in. The office was modern, cold. Platinum plaques lined the walls, Kendrick, Dre, and of course, Snoop. Tremaine's eyes drifted to one in the center. "Drop it like it's hot. 3x platinum." "You're the one Snoop's been talking about?" the man asked, sitting behind his desk. "Yes, sir." He held out a hand. Tremaine handed over the drive. The man plugged it in, leaned back, and pressed play. The first track started with a piano loop and a stripped-down beat. Tremaine's voice came in, tight, urgent. The man didn't smile, didn't nod, just listened. By the time the second track started, Tremaine's palms were slick. His stomach churned. "You made this yourself?" the man asked. "Yeah." "Produced and wrote everything." There was a pause. "Your bars are raw, unrefined, but the pain? That's not fake. And in this industry, that's rare." Tremaine's heart kicked up. "You need polish. You need guidance. But you've got something real. That's more than half these kids walking in here with chains and no substance." The man stood. "I'll talk to Calvin. If he's backing you, I'll set up a dev deal. Nothing major yet. No illusions. Just studio time and a shot to prove yourself." Tremaine nodded, stunned. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. I'm not giving you anything. I'm just letting you work." Out in the hall, Snoop was grinning. "Told you." Tremaine tried to keep it cool, but he couldn't hide the small smile forming. "I didn't think he'd even listen. People listen when you bring something worth hearing. Now let's get tacos. That's tradition after your first almost deal." As they walked, Tremaine glanced at Snoop. "Why are you doing this?" Snoop looked at him. "Because someone once gave me a chance when I was just a kid with a mic and a dream. I just never thought I'd get to pass that down to my own blood." Tremaine nodded, but the words hit deeper than he expected. They pulled up to a street cart in Inglewood. Snoop ordered 2 carne asadas, and Tremaine followed suit. They sat on the curb, the street buzzing with people and lowriders rumbling past. "You know," Tremaine said, "there were nights I'd look up at your posters and wonder why I didn't matter." Snoop took a bite, chewing slowly. "I never stopped mattering," Tremaine continued, "but I guess now I don't need your name to prove that." Snoop looked at him. "Nah, you don't, but if you want it, it's yours." Tremaine nodded. "Not yet. I'm not ready for all that." Snoop laughed softly. "Fair enough." They ate in silence for a while, the night warm and familiar. For the first time in years, Tremaine wasn't trying to run from who he was finally learning how to own it. 3 months later, Tremaine stood behind the mic at a small showcase in downtown LA. Just him, a stripped-back beat, and a crowd that didn't know his name. Yet. The label had booked a modest space, nothing flashy. Just 100 people. A&Rs, local artists, a few bloggers. No one promised him a deal, no special treatment, just a slot. He stepped up, heart rattling in his chest, and glanced to the side of the stage. Snoop was there, arms crossed, nodding like he'd been here 1,000 times before, because he had. Tremaine took a breath and began. No intro. No apology, just bars. Truth. He rapped about the system, the nights he didn't eat, the homes that called him temporary, the cops who saw his skin first and questions later, about a name he never asked for, and the music that saved him before anyone else did. He didn't rap like someone trying to impress. He rapped like someone trying to survive. By the time he hit the hook, people in the crowd were nodding, some frozen, phones held up, but no one cheering yet. They were listening. Really listening. When he finished, there was a pause. Not awkward, heavy, like the room was exhaling. Then the applause hit, slow at first, then rising like a wave. Tremaine stepped back, chest heaving. He didn't smile. Not yet. Backstage, Snoop clapped a hand on his shoulder. You just told your story. Tremaine nodded. I didn't want it to sound like yours. It didn't. They sat in silence for a bit, until one of the label reps came over, nodding. We'll talk soon, he said, smiling. That was something special. As the rep walked away, Tremaine looked at Snoop. You think I'm ready now? You were ready when you stood up there and didn't try to be me. Tremaine laughed quietly. I used to think the only way I'd ever matter was by being connected to you. And now? Now I know. Being your son don't mean a thing if I can't carry my own name. Snoop leaned back. Ain't that the truth? They left the venue together, walking past people who didn't even notice them. No cameras, no chaos. Just two men, one finding his roots, the other finding redemption. Outside, the air was cool. The city buzzed like it always did. Tired, electric, alive. Tremaine looked up at the sky, the lights blotting out the stars. He didn't care. He was done looking for signs. The voice inside him was finally louder than the noise around him. And for the first time in his life, that was enough. And if this story moved you, even just a little, subscribe and tap the next video on your screen. It was picked just for you, and you're going to love it.